Hi, welcome back to Zach of All Trades. I'm Zach. Why on earth did I move to someplace so cold? That's a question that's been burning in the hearts of at least one or probably more folks that have been following this transition. So I thought I would take the opportunity to answer that question as well as give a little bit of a channel update, just kind of a what's going on. I also wanted to just kind of share my world with you a little bit this morning. It is beautiful. It's 30, I think it's 30 degrees this morning, and the snow is somewhat falling out of the trees. I think we got about 6 inches of snow last night, which in my opinion, this is some of the greatest light, some of the greatest environment ever. So this video is not going to be any amazing, engaging content, but just kind of me talking to you, letting you know what's going on. I'm trying something a little bit different here. I'm going to see if I can do this all in one cut. So a bit of a monologue, if you will, and answer some questions. So first off, to answer that question about why move somewhere so cold, I have a number of reasons why I like to live somewhere so cold. One of them is kind of a gimme. I grew up here, and so this is sort of normal to me. When it's wintertime, my heart says it's supposed to be cold and there's supposed to be snow, and that's what makes it wintertime. But what's the benefit of wintertime anyway? The benefit of wintertime to me is that when right about the time you get tired of winter, then comes spring. And right about the time you get tired of spring, I don't know if anybody ever gets tired of spring, but when you get tired of spring, man, here comes another season. And there's a cycle to it that for me is very good. The change of the seasons is wonderful for me. Another reason why I love the winter time is that it's kind of all about contrast to me. When it's cold and nasty outside, or even when it's cold and beautiful outside, when you go into the house and you got the fire going, or you got the heat turned on, and the house is nice and warm and toasty, the contrast between cold and nasty and warm and toasty, it makes your home feel that much cozier. It makes that time spent with your family sitting around the table or playing board games or whatever you're doing. It's the contrast makes it that much more impactful, I guess. Another thing why I love living someplace cold is because of snow. I grew up playing in the snow, whether it's skiing or sledding, riding snowmobiles. That stuff is fun to me, and you can't do that if you don't have any snow. Case in point, last night I think we got about 6 inches of new snow, and I was able to take my snowmobile, my old sled that sat for 20 years, it's been in some of my previous videos. I was able to take my old sled. I was able to go meet up with my cousin, who now lives, I don't know, I think 2.5 or 3 miles away from me. I went and met up with him. We spent 2 hours or 3 hours, something like that, riding our snowmobiles in the middle of the night in the most beautiful environment that I know of, and I cannot even describe how many itches that scratched for me. Then once we were done, it was time to come home, and I was able to pull into my own driveway on my snowmobile, jump off the old sled, which, by the way, I believe operated probably the best that it ever has, which is pretty remarkable for a 40-year-old sled that has been rode hard and put away wet a lot of times. And one of the last times it was rode hard and put away wet, it was not touched again for 20 years. And for it to be performing properly now is just amazing to me. It just makes my little heart happy. But I was able to pull into my own driveway, park the sled, jump off, and go in and crawl in next to my sweetheart. I wasn't able to get very close because most all of me was quite frozen. What else can I tell you about? So we're getting fairly well accustomed to living so much further from town than we have before. This is less of an adjustment for me because, as I mentioned before, I grew up here, so the fact that, well, here are a few stats for you. The nearest Walmart, the nearest drive-through food, the nearest indoor movie theater is about 37 road miles. No, that's incorrect. I think it's 37 miles directly as the crow flies from here. So driving there is every bit of an hour to get there. And some of those roads can be fairly treacherous. We drove it yesterday while it was in the middle of snowing, and it took us more like an hour and a half, just because the roads can get kind of sketchy. So we're settling in to living here. We're getting our homeschool routine kind of fired back up again and figuring out when our times are good. So things are moving right along. We've got the house to the point where everything's pretty comfy, cozy. We still have plenty of projects left to finish in the house in order to have it finished. We've got trim, we've got interior doors to do. We've got still some flooring. I did all the flooring on the main floor, but the loft and the basement still need flooring. Still lots and lots to do in that, but we are to the point where we can kind of take little bites and chew along at that as we go. I've got projects outside that need to be done. I have no workspace. Well, I say no workspace. Almost no workspace. I have a root cellar where I've got all my tools, most of my tools stored, which is not the best place to store my tools. It's not gonna be able to be long-lived, because my tools, I'm sure, will start rusting and things will start going bad. So I need to come up with some sort of workspace. I've got some ideas in mind that hopefully I can get started on here pretty soon. Lots of stuff going on around here. I'm kind of running out of breath, and I feel like I'm rambling a little bit. So, another thing I wanted to point out, or I guess ask you really a question, and this is probably too late in the video to do this because I've probably lost most everybody. Sound. David, I think it was David, had commented about how my sound was pretty poor. And David, I really appreciate your observation about that. One of the things that, in studying how to make good YouTube videos, one of the things that makes video more watchable and more engaging is good sound. And so I take it very seriously when I hear comments about my sound being poor in one regard or another. I figured out where my problem was in this most recent string of videos with the sound. I had changed some settings in my camera, and I figured that out, and I went back in and I adjusted it. So please do tell me if this is better. The thing I thought about for quite some time was if the sound is too low, then you can just turn it up. But David pointed out the fact that if you turn it up, whenever that ad comes on, it's the contrast, again with the contrast, it's way too loud and it's an unpleasant experience. So hopefully I can get these levels evened out, and hopefully I've got these settings changed properly so that this is more watchable to you. So please let me know in the comments, let me know in the comments how this has turned out, if I've got my audio levels better, and what else was I going to tell you? I think that's about it. I hope that this is watchable, and I hope that it's informative, and I will see you guys again real soon. Take care.